Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Whipsnade Zoo recreation here in Planet Zoo. So today we are going to look at this enclosure here. So last week we did the bit up here, so the Otter Island and then the Red Panda enclosure there. So I thought I'll stick with the water theme that we had for the otters, and we would come down here to this enclosure. So this is the Waterfowl lake. So on there's quite a few different types of ducks and geese. There's pelicans on there as well, white stork, and they sort of alter different species of crane and things as well. So it's quite a nice enclosure, quite a decent size, a big lake. So it's got a kind of big bank around the edge and at the back there. And then in the middle there's a little island as well, and I think there's another little island there. It's all kind of sunken into the ground a bit, so there's going to be quite a bit of terrain work here. This whole area is a bit tricky for terrain because it's kind of where a lot of bits meet up and change, going up and down different things. So making everything kind of from this side and the bottom here connect is going to be a bit tough, but yeah, that will I think be a good starting point for this corner of the zoo to get that bit sorted. So yes, this will be probably a bit of a challenge, I think, making sure the water looks right, getting all the banks. So there'll be a lot of rock work and things around the edges, which I think that temple rubble might be good for. There's going to be some ramps into the water for the animals to use, a couple of sheds and things at the back as shelters, and then quite a lot of planting and things all around. And then from the public point of view as well, this bit at the front here, so this is the path I've put in, but that is sunken down as well, and then there's a road that runs behind it, and that is a bit higher up, so the actual path goes down further. So yeah, like I say, terrain work's going to be a big thing for this, and making everything line up, but it should be a nice build, and I think it should look quite nice because it looks nice at the zoo in real life. So yeah, I might also do a bit of tidying up there depending how long this whole thing takes me, because it might take a while, but if it's not too bad, I might tidy up this corner of the nilgai paddock there, because I think there's a little bit of planting and logs and things that need to be done in this corner to finish that off, and potentially looking over to this side, the bit between the flamingos and this area here, this patch of grass where I've got some staff buildings, that bit I might change up as well, plant that up as to how it should look. So yes, quite a lot to be doing for this one, and I will get some pictures as always, and I will be back when it's all done. Right guys, I'm pretty much finished. So this is what I've done now. So I've left obviously all that stuff to the side, all this stuff behind the enclosure, and a lot of that stuff to the side there. So I'll quickly go through the bits that I've changed around this enclosure, and then I will come back in and look at the main feature. So as I said before, I have managed to actually do a little bit of extra stuff. So this bit here between the flamingos and the nilgai is all finished. So that's just basically a lot of planting, just to kind of mix everything up a bit. It's just a lot of trees really, a bit of grass and stuff around the edges as well. I've taken out all the staff buildings and just moved them to another area for now. I don't really know, like I've said in previous episodes, how I'm going to work the staff buildings. I'll have to try and figure out how it's going to work, because there's not a lot of space for them to go, and because I'm doing everything to scale, a lot of the buildings are too small for the staff ones to fit in, because the staff buildings are so tall. So yeah, I'm going to struggle a bit with that, but I'll figure it out eventually. So yeah, this is just a lot of planting. this fence here I might have to change at some point to a custom fence, but for now I'm just leaving it as the log fencing. So that little portion is all finished. The other bit that I've done, if I come over all the way over here, so this little corner, as I said before, it was pretty much done. There was just a little bit of stuff in this corner, so it's barely anything really when you look at it, but I had that tree on the left in, but just a bit of planting. There's a big tree trunk, fallen tree trunk here, and then another big tree in that corner, which provides a bit of the shade and everything. So yeah, this little corner of this paddock's done now as well. So everything in that enclosure, as far as I can remember, is finished, which is the nil guy, as I've said before. I'll get out the tree, and then all that bit there in between the nil guy and the flamingos is finished, except maybe that fence. I also did a little bit on that nilgai house as well, where the eaves weren't really lining up properly. So onto the main enclosure itself. So this is the waterfowl lake. So it's I've managed to get it looking, I think, as accurate as I can. So as I said before, terrain was going to be a big issue with this one. So if I kind of show here from this view, this is how I meant. So when you're a person, so about this sort of height, this path that leads down here is a lot lower than the road, which is up here. And there's a kind of grassy bank in the middle. So this took a lot of sorting out. And then looking from this view here, you can see that this whole the whole way around here is a kind of hill, which sort of dips down on the railway side and down towards the water. So it was a bit of a challenge trying to get that to all work out. At the back here, it kind of all just slopes up towards the paddock behind there, so that wasn't as difficult. And then on this side as well, from that base point there where the path is along the front of the lake, it all just kind of slopes upwards. And this building here, if I haven't already said, which I think I have, but this is where the cafe is, or the main restaurant for the zoo. So yeah, all this area here is sort of outside seating and everything, but this path goes up into this corner. So I've done all the terrain around the path, but all that still needs to be sorted for the cafe area. But yeah, this little portion here up to the road is all finished. And then yes, so all the terrain, quite difficult, but eventually managed to get it working. So the enclosure itself, as you can see, it's fairly basic really. There's a lot of nice planting, which is good. So there's not been really that much opportunity to use the reeds and bits. There was a little bit in the pond up near the white rhino enclosure, which I showed in one of the first episodes, and there's a little bit in this area in the nilgai here, this reed bed sort of system there. But yeah, it's quite nice to be able to use the reeds, because I think they really look nice on the edge of a lake and on the edge of the water, and make things tie in nicely. Then a couple of big trees. There should be quite a few willow trees in the zoo, and I think I've used one of the other trees, but I think it'd be quite nice to have a weeping willow tree, because it's quite a unique sort of looking plant, and I think it's hard to replicate that in the game, and it's quite a nice plant in real life to have in some of these enclosures. So that would be nice to have, but we'll see if we get that in a future DLC or something. So yeah, a lot of planting. I've put some nettles and bits in to bulk out the base, and some of the elephant grass and things like that on the actual banks themselves. A few little trees and shrubs and things dotted about, but not loads. On the water's edge, this was one of the things I talked about. All the edge of the water is lined with these rocks, which looks really nice. And I said before that I would probably use the rubble, and that is what I've used. It's I think it's turned out nicely. It sort of frames the water really nicely. So yeah, that's quite a nice feature, I think. We've also got these ramps that I said before. So these are just access ramps really for the animals to get in and out of the water easily, since there are all these sort of rocks that make it a bit more difficult, and not the best thing to be walking on. The actual water itself is quite shallow, if I can get in there. So yeah, I have slightly actually sort of modified the terrain within it to have deeper bits and shallower bits, but it's obviously not really necessary because there's no animals in there. But yeah, I did it for the sake of it, and you can't really tell from the visitor point of view, when you've got the reflections and things on there, how deep the water is anyway. But I thought I would just put it in for the sake of doing it properly. Oh, I just noticed one of these posts that I forgot to take out. So yeah, that is the bulk of the actual main part of the enclosure. So yeah, if I come back up here, so there's a little bit here where it's a kind of runoff from this reed bed system that comes down here. So the rocks just kind of filter up there a little bit. And then on this little bit here, just a bit that sort of juts out and goes in there. A bit more planting there. At the back here, this is where the main sort of shelter is. So this is just a bigger, more open shelter for, I think mostly used for the pelicans because it's a bit bigger, and if they needed to be shut in for whatever reason. And there's a small little catch-up area or holding pen, whatever that is there. And then a little path that runs down the back here, which is lined with some bamboo. Our first cherry blossom tree, which we'll be seeing a lot more of in one of the future episodes at some point. And there's just a little shelter there, quite basic. I quite like the bamboo pieces for the wooden planks, even though they're not quite the same, but the colour's nice, and I think the fact that you can use these smaller pieces that are non-gridded is quite useful. The terrain-wise, mostly I've used long grass, but a bit of sort of pathways, walkways using the mud, the soil. So yeah, from this angle you can kind of see an overview there from this side. I'll come back over here, so just this little bit here. So this part here is the access area for the paddock, or one of them. I think there is maybe one or two more at the back there, but this is one of the access points. So the gate itself actually looks quite similar to the real gate, so I've popped that in there. And then this is an information sign for all the different species of waterfowl that are in the lake. So that is a nice little bit there. I think that's turned out all right, the way it's sort of angled and things. And then a couple of trees. So that is pretty much it. As I say, quite a simple but effective enclosure, I think. It's a shame we don't have the animals in there, because I think it would be nice. And I think, to be honest, for a lot of these animals, like the geese and the pelicans and things, they wouldn't need flying animations necessarily if they were similar to the flamingos, just flapped about a bit and that sort of thing. I think they could make it quite nice, and then they could just sort of swim along the surface of the water. I think that would be quite effective, but yeah, we'll wait and see if we ever get a proper DLC with birds or something. In the middle of the enclosure, we've just got one bigger island and then this small little island which is just planted up. So yeah, there's not much more to say about the actual enclosure itself. One thing I did also want to cover is the train. So as you probably noticed, so this train track, it runs all the way from that bridge area there, all the way down around this whole enclosure, and then the actual train station is up beyond the cafe over there. So yeah, this will be a kind of work in progress throughout the the whole series, I think. I've left this area because, yeah, as I say, I'm going to kind of be working on this throughout the whole thing, and I'm not sure exactly how all this sort of area is going to pan out, so I didn't want to sort of do anything completely and then have to go back and redo it. But yeah, this part here is a bridge. The train goes underneath, so yeah, I'm hoping to get the train to work, but I think I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, so if I zoom right out, you can see the zoo as it is currently. So the train would run, so this is the lake here, so the train would run round there, and then it would kind of come off of the map over here somewhere, if I'm getting that right, something like that. And then all this area, it might kind of cut there possibly. Yeah, I think you probably would see it down here, and then it would come round and do a circle there, and then this is where I've put the train station, so it will kind of do a loop there. So if it's going to go off the map, I might try and kind of make a tunnel and make it just go completely underneath for whatever part it's off the map, and then come back up onto proper land and reappear, and then come round, so that I can have a running train, which would be quite nice to have the train actually running. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly how I could make that work, but yeah, I'll try if I can to make that work. We will see how we go with the rest of it, and once I've got all the scaling right, because all that portion there I haven't even laid out properly. As you can see, I've laid out a couple of enclosures, and I think with the wooden pieces around the edges actually mapped out properly, but yeah, all the rest of it is not even laid out, so I haven't quite worked out exactly where things are going to be with regards to the train, so we'll see how we go there. So yeah, this is the lake enclosure. I will, as always, put some nice cinematic shots so you can have some proper good views of it. In terms of next one, again, I always say we've got loads of options, but I never actually know what I'm going to do until I have a think about it. I did actually take quite a lot of pictures of the Squirrel Monkey Island the other day, so that's a possible, because that would be a good one to do while I've got some nice clear pictures of it. And then there's also, it would be quite nice to get this little bit sorted as well, although I do think, because it's going to be quite a detailed building, this cafe, and probably this area here is a toilet block, so this whole little chunk here is probably going to actually be quite a lot of work, so that will probably be an episode in itself, I would think, maybe with a couple of like little tying up of other areas type thing to finish up other little bits. But yeah, it's going to be quite a lot, quite detailed. Again, I probably won't do the inside, but I'll see how I go. I might do certain bits of it. It would be quite cool if it could be a working cafe for guests, even though the zoo's closed, and it has been since I've been doing this pretty much, to keep the lag at bay. But yeah, it'd be quite nice to have it working. I'm not sure. We'll see how we go. At least it's a bigger building, so I might be able to make paths and things like that work for it, and it's probably a bit taller of a building, I think. So I might be able to actually put some stuff, or some shops in there. But yeah, that is another possible. Or I might do the bit that I keep saying I might do, which is the bit over near the hunting dogs, the crane enclosure there, and some bits around the giraffes. So we'll see. I'll see what takes my fancy next time. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for future episodes in the series. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.